Tonight, in the final installment of his two-part series examining the state of marriage in America, Reel to Reel's Perry Lamkins takes a look at the many blessings of wedded bliss.
Last week, I told you about the decline in marriage, both civil and sacramental, the not-so-happy side of marriage. This week, Doctors David and Angela Franks, teachers at St. John's Seminary, tell us about the better side of marriage, the side that truly makes us happy. You know, the part where they live happily ever after. The true message of God's divine design for our human sexuality and social justice need to come about by practicing what we preach.
These are the two prongs of the new evangelization. That this is what has been especially entrusted to the laity, because we're in the world. We need to talk about the truth of human sexuality. We need to live it out in our married lives, in our homes. And from that will come a just social order. Family values are the first thing. They're the most important thing. Economics, all these other things don't matter unless we understand it should serve family. It should serve the dignity of each human person.
The Catholic Church teaches that in marriage, the family is the original cell of social life. In fact, what the Church teaches about marriage, social science confirms.
We need to make natural law arguments to the world. That is, we need to be able to say, look at the data, which, thank God, we've got a lot of now from secular sources, the sociological data, that says, well, marriage really is good for men and women, good for children. And if you want a just social order, you need to have strong families. We can make these natural law arguments, say, look, we've got some data that actually shows this is how God has designed us. So we need to pay attention. We need to be intelligent.
As a society, people tend to let their emotions rule their reasoning in trying to escape the commitment of lifelong, life-giving marital relationships. For some, the excuse is money. For others, it's children. But for whatever the reason, the data shows quite the contrary. The benefits of marriage far outweigh the disappointments found in cohabitation.
Well, David talked a little bit about how important marriage is for social justice, and we see this in so many sociological studies that have looked at marriage. And what we find is that marriage is good for men, marriage is good for women, and it's good for the children.
Having a partner who is committed for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, makes people happier and healthier.
Married couples, the adults, are more likely to live longer, be physically and mentally healthier.
Study after study has concluded married people have both more and better sex than singles do. They not only have sex more often, but they enjoy it more, both physically and emotionally, than do their unmarried counterparts.
Marriage is one of the best things you can do for your happiness, apparently. So, people don't think about that, but marriage is actually much better than other relationship structures for adults.
Research shows that married couples make more money, pool resources, and reduce expenses to a much greater degree than cohabiting couples.
We also know that marriage is fantastic for raising children, and this shouldn't be a surprise because clearly this is how God designed it, right? Marriage is the family structure in which children are meant to be raised.
Few propositions have more empirical support in the social sciences than this one. Compared to all other family forms, families headed by married biological parents are best for children.
A great sign of hope is that the younger generation, what the so-called post-millennial generation, is tending more towards a religiosity, a tendency to respect tradition, to want to embrace the goods of marriage. So we are seeing this in studies.
They also tend to agree with church teaching. And so the oldest generations agree with church teaching on marriage, but also the youngest generation. And so this is important for people to realize that they tend to be more on board with what the church says about sex and marriage than their parents may be.
The Catholic Catechism teaches the faithful, the spouses' union achieves the twofold end of marriage, the good of the spouses themselves and the transmission of life.
And so really, if we want to promote healthy people, if we want to see people who are economically better off, that's another thing that marriage does, especially for children, is increase their financial well-being, their stability. We really need to promote marriage as a social justice issue.
In the 4 dioceses of Massachusetts, the bishops have all called for an initiative to help educate and re-educate people about relationships, marriage, and what it means to be truly happy. Deacon Jim Conroy, Director of Family Life Ministry for the Diocese of Springfield, is working on the initiative, Our Future Depends on Love.
I think the bishops are asking us to educate to bring back the sense, through different programs and stuff, the sense that marriage is a calling in life, and that is a sacrament. As Catholic Christians, we know we're called by God, to live lives, worthy of God's calling.
We are called to love one another in selfless ways, to live God's calling through healthy, strong, committed relationships. Married love is meant to be lifelong, life-giving.
We just recently had a celebration of couples that have been together 25, 50, 60, 65 years of love together. I mean, what a witness to the world.
In a word, what do Catholic Christians who have been married a long time have to say about married life?
Cooperation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
That's the word, cooperation. Yeah. And the fact that the children are there, and they're good kids. Haven't had any problems with any of them, thank God.
Thinking of each other.
Respect.
I would say having a strong commitment to each other through the good times and the times that weren't so good. Staying together and with faith in God helped a lot too.
It is indeed the grace of God, the author of life and the source of all love, that allows couples to answer the call of sacramental marriage and to enjoy true happiness in the abundant benefits of a lifelong, life-giving commitment. For Real to Real, I'm Perry Lamkins.